Hello everyone and welcome to my Glidecam training course. Now in this first part, we'll be taking a look at the Glidecam itself. So we're gonna run through the parts of the Glidecam and what do each of the parts do. Alright, so starting from the bottom up, we have the base of the Glidecam. The base is also where all the counterweights are mounted to the Glidecam. Alright, so over here is where you mount the counterplates. You basically slot the two holes of the counterweights into these two holders, and same goes for the other side. Now you will notice there are two knobs over here. Now these two knobs, when loosened, they allow you to slide this bit in and out. Now basically when you slide them in, the Glidecam becomes more compact overall. So when you slide them out, it becomes more bulky. However, when it becomes more bulky, because it spreads out, it also adds more stability to the Glidecam. So personally, I recommend having these out all the time, unless you are shooting in some very cramped places where you just simply slot them back in. Now the main bit here is the shaft, and the shaft is extendable. Now basically you just loosen this nut over here, and you can take the whole thing out, so be careful. But then it's extendable and you can make it longer and shorter to adjust your balance. So we'll be talking about this more in the balancing chapter. So this here, the rubbery bit, is basically where your hand grips. This is the grip, and it has a slot in here. Basically, if you have a arm brace, you just slot it into your arm brace and you're ready to go. Now also, this bit here is also useful for mounting your Glidecam onto flash stands for supporting purposes. So you don't want to hold it all the time, so when you want to like hang it up, you can just slot it into a flash stand and it just stays there. Now do make sure you have a strong enough flash stand so it doesn't tip over, and well, you get the point. Now this complicated bit here is the most crucial part of the Glidecam, and that is the 3-axis gimbal. So basically 1 axis, 2 axis, 3 axis. So this is where most of the stabilizing work comes into practice. So this is the gimbal, and on the top plate here, the whole top plate is generically referred to as the top plate. So as you can see, there are many knobs on the side and bottom on the top plate of the Glidecam. So basically, these two knobs and these two knobs both function together, and the 4 knobs on the base work together. So you can see there are 4 knobs on the base, and where you have 1 knob with a screw in the middle on each end of the top plate. So you have 4 of these. Now basically, what they do is, when you loosen up these 4 securing knobs on the side, you loosen these up, you unlock the knob on the back of the Glidecam here. So when you turn this knob, it actually shifts the entire top plate a little bit forward or backwards for fine-tuning of your balance later on. So same goes with the bottom. When you loosen up the bottom 4, it unlocks this knob on the side. So this knob on the side moves the entire top plate left or right very slightly, so to adjust the parallel balance of your Glidecam. Now the 4 knobs on the side are for releasing the so-called quick release plate, as a reference in the user's manual of the Glidecam. So this is called the so-called quick release plate. So basically, you turn them anti-clockwise until they pop open. Do it for all of them. Now some of them you might have to give it a little pull to pull them pop open. So once they're popped open, the quick release plate of the top plate comes off. Now on this top plate is where you mount your true quick release plate. So when you buy your Glidecam, make sure to get one of these quick release plates to go with it. Now this one I have here is from Manfrotto. Now as far as I know, there are a lot of brands that actually make these quick release plates. Now the most dominant ones are probably Velbon and Manfrotto, and I highly recommend Manfrotto because the qualities of their items are very good. Alright, so that quick release plate is also where you'll be mounting your camera on. So the placement of your quick release plate is also very important. So as you can see, we have a whole grid of holes on the Glidecam's top quick release plate. So the middle column is always a good place to start with almost any camera. So provided your camera isn't extremely heavy towards the left or towards the right, the middle column would always work. So for this demonstration, we will start with the middle column. Now, depending on what camera you use, especially if you're using a DSLR, you would want to pick a row that is more towards the back. Because basically, when you use a Glidecam, you want the center of gravity of your camera to be as close to the middle as possible. So with DSLRs, we usually have some pretty long, heavy lenses. So when you mount your camera on there, now, if you mount it in the middle, alright, the center of gravity of your camera's body is somewhere in the middle. But once you add on a lens, it moves the center of gravity forward. It tips the balance of the whole thing towards the front. So that is why, to compensate for that, you want to pick somewhere that's further back. So the center of gravity is nearer to the center. So for me, usually I pick the center column and the second last row. So I'm gonna secure this into the hole, washer and screw, and that goes on the base of my quick release plate. Now I'll just tighten that up with a coin. And you have a quick release plate on a quick release plate. Alright, so now we want to put the top plate back onto the Glidecam. So basically, you don't want to get it wrong, the orientation is like so. The shapes of the top plates should match. So you just put it on there, line them up, and remember the 4 knobs on the ends, you just push them in, push each of them in. Just with your finger, just push them in. They should click into place. Now, turn them clockwise to secure them. Now you want to secure them down so it doesn't wobble around while you're operating the Glidecam, and you're ready to mount your camera onto the Glidecam.